Good afternoon, Saint fans, and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk with Rags here in Season 4, Episode 47. And today, here we are honored here to have another guest with us that has come back on here, the head football coach of NSA varsity football, Mike Biehl. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Rags. Thanks for having me again.
Sure, no problem, and appreciate you coming on and supporting the podcast.
No, absolutely. It's a pleasure.
So let's see. So let's start here while the iron's hot. Before we started, you talked about day one in the book. So practice here for 2024 regular season is officially here.
Yeah, no, I couldn't be more excited. I think, I'm a little biased, but every year is a great opportunity. Every group's really special, but I think we have something really special with this group in terms of the individuals that we have returning and some of the new faces that we're going to be introducing this year. But overall, I've told the guys that we've got everything we need to be successful. And it's going to be a matter of what we do with our opportunities. But I know this group, it's filled with individuals that want to do what's necessary to get better every day. And that's all you can ask for. They're not into cutting any corners or not into, taking the easy road. And it's going to be a really fun group to work with throughout this season, I think.
Yes. And let's see. I know with following you on Facebook and, talking to you here with leading up to this episode. I know that you were definitely looking forward to today and with the weather and over the last couple summers, you guys start nice and early, right?
Yeah, we start bright and early, and that's something we did, initially when I first got here. I knew I was going to have a smaller team. And my biggest worry coming from Virginia Beach and kind of having to always practice in the afternoon is I didn't want to lose any practice time because of the heat. I figured, man, we have a very small group. Like, we really can't afford to lose any time. So, thinking about where our kids travel from and the fact that, we don't have transportation like a lot of the public schools do to get these kids here. The one, factor that I could eliminate as far as the weather was just going super early, getting our work done early before the heat even had a chance to affect us. And, as difficult as it is to wake up that early and get going and get the work in, I think it gives us a little bit of an it factor in terms of earning, our opportunities, because you have to make that decision to do what you need to do to go to bed early, to wake up on time and get here and be in a mindset that you're ready to work. And we've kept at it. And it's not easy, but I think that's what makes it kind of special for our guys. It's something they all have to go through together. And it's a 2-week period where we really form the basis of what our team is going to be. But like you said, I look forward to it. It's tough getting any kind of sleep the days leading up to that, because I told the guys this morning, like, Christmas is for the kids. It's to see them smile, but this is like my Christmas every year, and it gets better every year. And this year was no different. We had a great day, like you said. The weather could not have been better. I mean, it was a breezy, light 70 degrees out there. It was almost irritatingly too nice of weather this morning. But what's funny is last night about 9, I'm kind of getting ready to wind down, and I get a text saying that there's an accident right in front of school. Power lines are down. School has no power. The road is closed. So I'm thinking,
oh wow,
like, how are we going to get updated? I'm going to be up at 4:30 or so. I'm going to get to school at about 4:30. But luckily, road was open, school had power, and away we went. So
well, that's good. Yeah, and I know that there was, the pandemic, so while you've been the head coach. So what year is this of yours here leading Saints varsity football program?
It is crazy to say, but this is year 9. This is year 9. I feel like I just got here. Feel like we're still building. We've been able to do some really great things, had some really great players come through our program, but and it literally has gone by in a blink of an eye. And to think about the pandemic and just the craziness of what we had to do just to keep football and keep it going, to see where we're at now is really cool to see how we've progressed through that and continued to build.
Yes, and you talk about players that have come, and one of the prior guests that I had come on was an alum from '04 or '03, Matt Tuttle, and and he talks about his story of being a long snapper there at Virginia Tech, but here recently with George Petway and Cole Christensen and Isaiah Furman, and even the guy that's pursuing country music, Dan Marshall. There's that's just a handful of Saints alums that have moved on to the D1 or other things with entertainment, and then Cole here with his NFL career.
Yeah, it's and I think we've mentioned it in prior episodes, but one of the things, when NSA initially reached out through the interview process, one of the things that I really thought about was, man, if we get players that are good enough, that are skilled enough, elite enough athletically, will they get the same opportunities as the kids that I had been coaching in public school? And they were just coming off a state championship with Cole Christensen and that group. So I missed him by a year. But when I looked at it, they had Noah Giles, who just went to William and Mary.
Right.
And I kept kind of poking around and doing research. And the answer was pretty obvious, that if you were good enough, you were going to be able to get an opportunity, especially in today's climate with camps and really how college evaluation has changed. Your tape is the thing that gets people to notice you, but your ability to go on campus and perform in front of coaches against other elite talent is what's going to really garner you that scholarship offer. So it's always been my MO to say, part of my job as a head coach in high school is to try to get every kid the opportunity that they earn, that I have to do my end to get that kid in front of as many eyes as possible. And that's something that we take really seriously, because we have kids currently that have aspirations to play in college. And I tell them the same thing that I told George, that I told Isaiah, to all these guys that went on, that you have to do your part. You have to be great in the classroom, and you've got to be elite on the field against our competition, so you can get that invite to camp and then go do what you do and prove that you can do it at a high level. And like you mentioned, we've been really fortunate to have some really good players that have gone on and just done just that. And most recently with Isaiah, he's a guy I couldn't be more happy for, because he came in as a 6'3", 175-pound basketball player.
Yeah.
And it was obvious really, really quickly that he had some elite skills, and that we just needed to get him to a point where he was really comfortable doing what we knew he could do on the field on a regular basis. And the kid put the work in. He gained weight. He really worked on his footwork, all the things that he needed to do as a bigger receiver to go prove that he could do it at that level. And I'm excited as heck for him. Elon's got a great one. He's excited. I talked to him last week while he just started camp. And it's just a very cool thing to see a kid pretty much realizing his dream and then going and seizing a new opportunity just like he is.
Yeah, and then one other Saint alum that I want to point out, and definitely here was baseball and football there at NSA. But Zach Morris, gets his undergrad from VMI and is able to not only transfer to Duke, but be the starting second baseman. And what a season he had.
He's I can't say enough good things about Zach. Zach was an elite competitor here. You could play him in checkers and he's going to go all out and try to beat you. And that's his mindset with everything he does. But what I really love about Zach's story. Like so many kids here, he's a multi-sport athlete.
Yeah.
We're a smaller private independent school, so we share athletes. It's what we do. It's why we're successful, I think. But he was a kid that really put his best foot forward, regardless of what the sport was. And the thing with him is, he was definitely a part of the travel baseball scene, and that was always what he knew was going to be his ticket to go play higher level sports. But he always was able to compartmentalize what he was doing. He would go and play travel baseball throughout the summer, and he would work out, and he would come work with us when he could. But when it was football season, he put the bat down and just focused on that and played at an elite level. I mean, he scored more touchdowns as a receiver than anybody
Right.
that we've had. And the cool thing with him too was entering his senior year, he really didn't have that offer that he really wanted. He hadn't gotten the offer from VMI yet, and although he was really apprehensive and really kind of anxious about getting that whole deal done, he went on and put together an all-state season in football, and then did what he had to do throughout to get that offer from VMI. And the story has written itself. And he's a testament to just putting in the work. Just put in the work and trust yourself and go put your best foot forward, and good things happen. But man, he is a representative of what can happen for multi-sport athletes, because he'd be the first one to tell you, you know, he was gritty as a baseball player, but when he hit the football field, he took that experience with him to the baseball field, and it really allowed him to play baseball at a much higher level than a lot of guys that just played baseball all year round, I think.
Yes, and another former guest here recently. I mean, Pete Hughes. I met him when he was the head baseball coach at Virginia Tech. Now he's the head baseball coach at Kansas State. But
Yeah.
he talked about liking the multi-sport athlete, and then he even talked about when he recruits, even taking a liking to a baseball player that played football in the fall or wrestled
Mhm.
in the winter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell parents and kids this all the time. I distinctly remember being in the staff room at Kent State, and it'd be recruiting season, and we'd be looking at an offensive lineman or a defensive tackle, or what have you. And we're going around the table and talking about the profiles of each one of these athletes. And sooner or later, somebody said, "Hey, I'm going to go see him play basketball." They never asked what type of basketball player he was. They were
Right.
just, "Hey, he's good enough. He plays on his high school basketball team." And the allure of being able to do multiple things at a high level is something that's just something every college coach is looking for. And it's in a day and age where I think so many parents and kids are kind of being driven to say, "Hey, man, if you want a shot here, you got to play this all year round." And I just don't think that's the case. If you're a higher level athlete, if you can compete at a high level, it's going to make you better and more well-rounded as an athlete, whatever your main sport is, for sure.
Yeah, so let's see. So how was Saints football there in 2023? And I know that you guys have TCIS and football, and that's very competitive. And then
Mhm.
also with the VIS AA,
Yeah.
me personally, I'd like to see a more expanded playoff, but I guess
Yeah.
with the schedule and when other sports start, but how was the 2023 season?
One of the most unique seasons I've been a part of. It was a really senior laden group. We had, I think, 10 seniors. All of them played. All of them started. Had major roles on our team. Which going into a season, that's usually a really good sign of things to come. And we had some moving parts in some key positions, specifically quarterback. We had just graduated a senior, and we had an incoming senior transfer in Napoleon Ellison. He was coming over from Portsmouth Christian.
Yeah.
And it just took us a couple weeks, it seemed like, to really start playing good football. And the cool thing about that, as frustrating as it was, to kind of see, where this team should be playing, the level that they could be playing, and to not see it those first 3-4 games, but to know it was there. These guys came together in the middle of the season and said, that we're not putting our best foot forward. We're not doing the things necessary on a daily basis to ensure that Friday is going to take care of itself. And I give that older group a ton of credit because they really took control of the situation and said, look, we know what we're capable of, but we have to drop all the unnecessary things that don't matter and focus on what does, one day at a time. And to their credit, they rattled off 5 wins. And it was like, as nerve wracking as it was such a fun end to that season because every week from week 6 to 10 was a playoff game. And it went down to the very last week. We were either going to get in or St. Anne's Belfield was going to get in, and we go and play in a shootout and completely could have went either way. I think there was almost 100 points scored in that game total. And our guys would not be denied. They would not take no for an answer, and they earned a playoff spot, which is something, at our level is not very easy. It's not one of the things like in public school, you can, depending on where your division is or your conference, you can almost guarantee after a few wins that you're going to get that opportunity. And that's not the case with us. So really proud of the group in terms of what they were able to accomplish once they kind of really just took the reins and really understood what was important. But that's got to be a springboard to what we're doing. And it's something that we talk about all the time heading into this season. Like, we can't wait to play good football. We've got to hit the ground running and give ourselves the best opportunity to hopefully play a game at home if we get an opportunity in the playoffs.
Right. Now, do you see, I mean, I know that VIS AA, similar to VHSL, that after the regular season, based on enrollment, then you go into states there with D1, D2, D3 that are on the private school. Do you see any expansion to maybe like 8, another round?
Yeah, that was actually proposed this year, this offseason. We have a state meeting just like the VHSL does, where all the head coaches come together from all the divisions and really talk about what we can do to make our game better, make our game easier and more accessible for fans, and really to get as much buzz around our game as possible. And that was definitely one of the things that our Division 2, requested. We wanted to expand it to at least 6, maybe get the top 2 seeds a bye. And let the other 4 teams battle it out, and I think that would make it a lot more competitive, get more teams involved, and get more buzz around. I think we're moving towards that. I think that's what everybody wants. The biggest thing is we've got to do a little bit better job of helping schools maintain football, and that's one of the things that I think if you look all around the country, it's getting harder and harder to do for whatever reason, based on the region that you're in. But we're hoping we're gonna gain a couple schools that were once a part of the TCIS and get them back playing 11-man football, and that'll help a lot regionally, be able to schedule teams a lot closer, and hopefully cut down on costs for schools and travel and things like that. But to me, it's I'm biased, but it's the greatest team sport there is. And if we can get as many schools involved, it's just a better product all around.
Yeah, well, and over the years, I've been there to a home Saints game, and I mean, they're on the home side. I mean, it definitely, the school does a good job with having some type of school spirit, around the home game to get the whole school to come out. And it's definitely a good sport that is there, supportive there on Friday nights there on 460.
Yeah, no, I cannot disagree at all. When we have a home game, it's a true home field advantage. Our school's into it. And that was one of the things, I just didn't know about when I first got here, like how important is football and sports here. And, the previous head of school, Debbie Russell, was adamant. We care. We want to, develop kids and be able to give them everything necessary to move on to the next level as students. But athletically, that's huge because it reverberates around your entire building, your entire campus when your school sports are playing at a high level and the community to come out and support it just makes everything better. And I'm really lucky. Our head of school now, Mike Barkley, has a son on the team,
Mm.
Greer Barkley, he's gonna be a guy that everybody will know by the end of the season for sure. But he's a former athlete. He's a former Division II football player, and acts as such and knows the importance of what we're doing and what effects it has on the rest of the building. But in terms of the community, um, I can't think of a bad showing home game wise. Whether we've played, with the weather, we've played Tuesdays, we played Thursday. It just doesn't matter. We
Right.
we have the support. People want us to do well, and it's like that at a lot of places that we travel to. Whether we go to Fredericksburg, I mean,
Yeah.
that whole town comes out to see that game. We go to Roanoke and play North Cross, huge showing. So it's like you said, you know, it's contagious. When people are involved, they get really excited about it, and it's something that like I said, the more schools we can get involved, the better, for sure.
Right. And what is, I mean, I know that I went to Max Preps, that's definitely been a consistent website since the internet has definitely been, capturing football schedules, but I know that they didn't have your opening game of North Cross. So the first game is what, 23rd, 24th? Does North Cross come to NSA, or do you guys go to Roanoke?
We take the beautiful trip to Roanoke, Virginia to see the Raiders of North Cross on the 23rd. And they've been the team to beat. They're always been a well coached, tough, physical football team. They have a new coaching staff coming in this year. So it'll be a little bit different, in terms of what they're doing on both sides of the ball, I would imagine. But we know exactly what we're going to get from them. They're going to be tough, physical, disciplined, and they're going to take the fight to you. So you got to be ready. And that's something that we're talking about day one. We want to
Yeah.
be ready for that. Everything we do from this point to then is to get ready to win the first one, and then it's off to the races, and you're 1 week at a time.
Right, right. And then there to kick off Labor Day weekend, the 460 to 258, I mean, you talk about a community. I mean, those two private schools, NSA and Isle of Wight Academy, I mean, 258 might be bumper to bumper approach in that school parking lot.
Yeah, I can't tell you how excited we are to have that game back on the schedule for both sides, because just like you said, it brings a feel back to me like the Beach District. Like
Right.
you just know all those people involved. You grew up with them. You played rec sports against them. Families are on both sides, so it's a great atmosphere. Like it always is over there. The times that we've gone to their place, and the job Dale Chapman's done over there for decades at this point speaks for itself, and that's going to be a good one. But it's so good to have that game back on the schedule for both sides, because it's one that you just feel like it should always be played because of the proximity. So that'll be really good to get that game back going.
Yeah, and then it looks like the home opener there on the 13th here is against Collegiate,
Hmm.
and I mean Russell Wilson alum there, but they usually have a good football program. It'll be good to kick off the home schedule against them.
Yeah, no, they do a great job. Another really, really disciplined, well organized group. We took them to the wire last year. The score didn't indicate how close that was. It was a tie game at halftime. It was back and forth in the second half, and we ended up letting it slip away a little bit. But that's been a really good rivalry for us. Love going up there. It's a beautiful, like you said, it's a beautiful campus. You can tell there's a lot of history in that place. But to get them to come down here and have that be our home opener will be a good one. It'll be a good test for us. They're a Division I program.
Right.
And I've always been of the mindset that if we can schedule some Division I schools that make sense for us on our schedule, it'll make us better. It'll get us more ready for our Division II schedule, and they fit that mold to a T. But that'll be a great test for us. They've got a great quarterback. He's getting recruited all over the place. Good
Wow.
6'3", 210-pound strong arm, athletic quarterback that we'll have to do some things to try to slow down. But that'll definitely be a great test to open the home opener for us.
Yeah, and then I see Hargrove Military Academy, Atlantic Shores, and then leading into the TCIS here with Catholic Norfolk Academy, and then I see that you finished the regular season there with Fredericksburg Christian and Stab. I mean, so which the Long family is definitely that came out of that football program.
Yeah, Stab is always a tough one, and that was like I said, we ended our season at home against them in a win or go home type situation, and they did not disappoint. They came ready to play, and our guys answered the call, and it was a really, really good football game all the way around. But they have a new coach that you may have heard of named Heath Miller.
Okay.
So their coach resigned, and for 5 minutes I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's definitely a program on the rise.
Right.
And the celebration did not last, because then it came across that Heath Miller was the new head football coach, and I listened to him. On the Chris Long podcast a couple weeks ago. He will, no doubt have those guys ready to play, and it won't be long before they're really building that thing back up. Probably with Heath Miller's sons. He's got 4 of them. One's going to be a freshman this year. So he said the worst sentence that an opposing coach could say. He said, there's like 19 or 20 former NFL players living in Charlottesville that would really like to help out.
Yeah.
So that'll definitely be a test. But that whole last 5 games of the season, that's going to be the stretch that determines the outcome of this thing. With Atlantic Shores, Coach Lance does an unbelievable job. He's somebody I really admire, and we share a lot of notes back and forth throughout the season, but he does it the right way. And his son is really putting together a really nice career over there. He gets better and better as their quarterback every year. He's gotten bigger, stronger, faster, but you can see in his game, it just develops in terms of how fast he sees and identifies things. And, that'll definitely be a test. And then Fredericksburg is really similar, I would say, to North Cross in terms of their physicality and really how well coached they are. They were super banged up when we saw them at their place last year, and it was still, we had to convert a 4th and 1 to really put the game away, and luckily we did. But they will be ready to go, as they always are. So it's going to be a great test each week to see what we have and what we're made of, and what kind of work we've done week to week. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and and you talk about a comment there of the talent there in Charlottesville, or even the talent of when their playing days are done, who makes a living there in the Charlottesville area, and that is one thing about the VISAA, the TCIS. I mean, the private school competition here, not only in our area, but here in the state. I mean, there's a nucleus of like a who's who.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things, and I have to be honest. Coming from where I came from, I just wasn't as tapped in and aware of the history and some of the players that have come through VISA, like you said. But it's a long list. It's a really long list. It's spread throughout the state. And what I like to tell people, in the beach, you're going to run in to probably 2 to 3 to 4 Division I guys each
Right.
week. And when it comes to us, that might be cut in half. It might be 1 or 2, but those 1 or 2 are going to go on and have great careers wherever they do play, and that's the case year in and year out. You're going to have literally from one roster to the next. Oh, that's a 3-star. That's a 4-star. Hey, watch out. That's a 5-star. And we're going to see it week in, week out. And it makes it really, really fun to go into some of these matchups knowing like, hey, man, we're independent private school football, but it's being played at a really high level. It's being coached at a really high level, and the product is really good.
Yeah, and to get Isle of Wight and you guys, back playing. I mean, Isle of Wight, Daniel Brown and his story to even get to JMU, and then with him professionally, and then NSA. I mean, they're with Cole. I mean, it looks like he's found a home there, being part of the Chiefs.
Yeah, man, I'm really upset that I missed him by. I would have really, I really could have used him that first year or two, but and what a story for him. He was an under recruited player for sure coming out of here. He was a guy that broke the tackle record by something crazy like 100 tackles,
Right.
and he was just lightly recruited for whatever reason, and he had some mid-major offers, but says, look, man, I have a calling to go to the Army
Right.
and go serve. And that's what his initial, to this day, I listen to almost every one of his interviews. That's what he says. Like, I had full intention of serving. And that's who he is as a person. And the whole community, the school is so proud of what he's been able to do with his opportunity, because seemingly you take a guy coming from that place, the hill is very steep to make it up it and get another opportunity. And all
Right.
he's done is just prove his worth wherever he's been. He unfortunately beat my Philadelphia Eagles in one of those Super Bowls, but
Right.
he's sitting here, about to get vested by the NFL and have a pension. And it's a testament to who he is as a player and a person.
Right. Well, hey, Mike, I certainly appreciate. I think this is the third time that you've come on, so appreciate your support. And with conversations on the outside, looks like leading up here to the regular season, there the week of August 19th, we can start having a weekly drumbeat here of NSA football on Sports Talk with Rags.
No, absolutely. Every opportunity to come on and talk with you is unbelievable, and to be able to do it on a weekly basis is going to be great. I think, like you said, our product in Vista and independent schools is a great one, and the more I can shed some light on that, the better it'll be for everybody. So I really appreciate it.
Sure thing. Well, hey, I know that we went over, but there was a lot to talk about. So thanks again for your time, and just have the team continue working hard here with early early reveille here for early morning practices here to get ready for that first game at North Cross.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Rags. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. Well, hey, Saints fans. So that's Mike Biehl, and we'll put out when the first regular season weekly episode here, when Mike and I can connect here for time and date. So stay tuned for that. And thanks again, and go Saints.
Thank you so much.
All right.